My name is Benson Ondigo. We work for Pan Pharmaceutical, and at Pan, we specialize in chronic wound management, both chronic and acute. However, where the pain is in chronic wound. And so I'll go through briefly 3 products, and I think when you get time, you can pass at our table and get or ask more questions if time will not allow for a question now. So, chronic wound, irrespective of etiology of the wound, chronic wounds share some characteristics, and one of the key characteristics which make chronic wound get stuck at the inflammatory stage. Because if you look at the wound healing process, or that cascade, you start from hemostasis to inflammatory stage, to proliferative phase, and remodeling and scarring. But chronic wound gets stuck at the inflammatory stage. So irrespective of the etiology of that wound, it can be diabetic foot ulcer, or arterial ulcer, or venous ulcer, or even the pressure ulcers. So such wound will have excess proteases. Of course, in a normal wound, protease will help with the autolytic debridement of the wound bed to clean the wound bed of necrotic tissue or any infecting bacteria. But excess of it in a chronic wound will exacerbate chronicity. And excess of it is due to excess of activated macrophage and neutrophil on the wound bed. So you'll end up with excess of matrix metalloproteases and elastase, and that break down extracellular matrix. So you don't have granulation happening. So if granulation tissue cannot grow, the wound will not transit from inflammatory stage to proliferative phase. So we have a solution to that. We have a product called Multidex. Multidex come in a form of a gel and a powder, depending on the nature of the wound. If the wound is exudative, then you will use powder. And this powder, it has a unique mode of action. It doesn't dry the wound bed, because a dry wound bed does not heal. The wound bed must be moist. So it mixes with the exudate to form a gel. If the wound is dry to moist, you will use a gel, which will liquefy the necrotic dry matter on the wound bed, and so subsequent debridement, it should give you a clean wound bed. Multidex has a combination of maltodextrin, which is a D-glucose polysaccharide. This is a starch, and a combination also with 1% of ascorbic acid, because we want to lower a pH of wound bed to a pH of 4 to 4.2. That's a pH which a number of bacteria which grow on wound bed will not multiply. If the wound is not infected, a patient has maybe a comorbidity, but the wound is not infected, then you just use either Multidex gel or the powder. But however, if the wound is infected, then you will use Algidex. Algidex has what you will find in Multidex plus ionic silver. So ionic silver is a broad spectrum antibacterial. So that if the wound is infected, and that you can see by maybe the wound is smelly, change of color. For example, if it's a Pseudomonas aeruginosa infection, it will be greenish wound bed. So that will tell you that for such patient, you need to manage the bacterial load on the wound bed before you give either gel or the powder. So Algidex give a combination of maltodextrin, ascorbic acid, plus ionic silver. So I'll stop at that point for Multidex. Visit our stand, we'll explain further. If the wound is exudative, very exudative, and you need to manage the exudate, we have a VAC machine. This is a negative pressure wound therapy machine. Portable, the patient can use at home. They don't need to be in the hospital to use this machine. So this will help you drain the wound bed of excess exudate. If the patient cannot afford a VAC machine, we have a dressing form called Vacutex. Vacutex is a patented dressing that creates up to 70 mm of mercury of negative pressure. So it is able to drain the wound bed of excess fluid. Because of some of these wounds, let's say venous ulcer, very exudative. it might not heal simply because of the edema. So before you prescribe Multidex, then you need to manage the edema. So either you use the vac machine or you use the Vacutex. I'll stop at that point. I think my time is over. Get time, visitors, we'll share with you how to manage chronic wound. Thank you.